morning. My name is Mark Jason Bautista, an IELTS lecturer or your English lecturer. You can call me Sir J, as I am fondly called here at Protech Review Center. So as you can see, we are at the multimedia room of Protech Review Center, where the online review of the civil service exam is happening. So this morning, you will be watching 5 video presentations about English or about grammar, namely subject-verb agreement, pronouns, tenses of verb, prepositions, and modals. So you will understand more about the rules in grammar after watching the video presentations. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
This is the first of your English video lessons, the subject-verb agreement. Take a look at this example. Jade is playing outside. Can you identify the subject? Great! Jade here is the subject, or the one that is being talked about in this sentence. So the author is telling us that Jade maybe is outside, playing with his cousins, his friends. I don't know. That doesn't really matter, doesn't it? Next, can you identify the verb? Very good. Is this the verb? A verb is a word that shows an action or tells something about the subject of the sentence. Take note, the subject and the verb of the sentence must always agree in number. If you have a singular subject, you require a singular verb, and a plural subject requires a plural verb. So we highlighted Jade and is for you to remember. Singular subject. A singular subject requires a singular verb, as I mentioned earlier. Example: Jade is playing outside. We've just repeated the same example. Jade here is our singular subject, again, and is our singular verb. Always remember, a singular subject equals a singular verb. Another example: Alan teaches geometry. Alan here is our singular subject, and teaches is our singular verb. Clear? We move on to plural subjects. Oh, this guy has the same rule as the other one. A plural subject requires a plural verb. Example: the students are going on a field trip. We can break down the sentence for us to analyze. The students here and are. Again, the students here is our plural subject, and are is our plural verb. Remember that the plural subject requires a plural verb. Another rule: a phrase or a clause that comes between a subject and its verb does not affect the subject-verb agreement. What is a phrase? What is a clause? Here is an example. The leader of the kidnappers was killed in the encounter. So we have the phrase "of the kidnappers." If we remove that phrase, we have this sentence: the leader was killed in the encounter. Did you see the difference? Another example: the guards whom the organizer hired to maintain peace and order were responsible for the encounter. So we have this phrase, whom the organizer hired to maintain peace and order. If we remove that phrase, the sentence will be: the guards were responsible for the encounter. And yes, the rules still apply. We move on to the subjects joined by or nor. When both parts of a compound subject joined by or nor are singular, a singular verb is required. The keywords here are or nor, singular, and your singular verb. Example: Marianne or Michelle is attending the soiree. So we have two singular subjects, Marianne or Michelle. Therefore, we require only a singular verb, that is. Another rule: when both parts of a compound subject joined by or nor are plural, a plural verb is required. Keywords, again, or nor, plural subjects require a plural verb. Example, the parents or the children were present. So we have two plural subjects, parents and children. Therefore, we require a plural verb. And that is, in this example, where. When one or more singular subjects are joined to one or more plural subjects by or nor, the verb should always agree with the nearest subject. Keywords, one or more singular subjects, one or more plural subjects, or nor, and always take note of the nearest subject. Example, Diane, Dwayne, or the girls are going to the market. We have two singular subjects, Diane and Dwayne, and one plural subject, the girls. We used are because we always agree with the nearest subject to the verb, and that is, in this example, the girls. Okay, take a deep breath. This is going to be easy. Subjects joined by and. A compound subject joined by and is generally plural and require a plural verb. Keywords, generally plural and plural verb. Examples, his her and her brother are king people. So we have two subjects, two singular, take note of that, which is joined by and. They are joined by and, therefore we use a plural verb. Quotient, if the pairs of the compound subject joined by and are thought of as one item in your unit, a singular verb is needed. What is this kind of one item or unit? Have you ever saw something like that before? Well, I did. Take a little time to think of this rule. Examples, ham and cheese is my usual breakfast. Confusing? No, not quite really. Ham and cheese is thought of as one unit, and therefore we need a singular subject. Another quotient, if the word every or each comes before a compound subject, a singular verb is required. Examples, every man, woman, and child was tested for the virus. So if the every was not there, we are supposed to use a plural verb, but then again it's there, so we need to use a singular verb. Each student and guardian is requested to participate in the school activity. So we have each as your keyword and is as your singular verb. By the way, you can request to rewind the video. Quotient, if the parts of the compound subject refer to the same person, place, thing, or event, it is singular and needs a singular verb. Same person, place, thing, or event is the keyword here. So those kinds require only a singular verb. Examples, the owner and manager of the construction is her husband. So our subject here is the owner and manager. It is counted as one person only. Therefore, we have to use only a singular verb, because the owner and the manager is the same person. Okay, we move on to the last part, the confusing subjects. Don't be confused, okay? Rule number 1. A noun denoting an amount or measurement is usually singular and needs a singular verb. Again, a noun denoting an amount or measurement is usually singular and needs a singular verb. Examples: 10,000 pesos is all I need for my shopping spree. So our subject here is 10,000 pesos. Although that's a lot and is supposed to be considered a plural subject, it is a singular and therefore it needs a singular verb. Example number 2. 12 feet is the depth of the swimming pool at the resort. Same as example number 1. Although 12 must be considered a plural, it is a measurement, therefore it is singular and needs a singular verb. Rule number 2. When a collective noun is thought of as a single unit, a singular verb is required. When a collective noun is thought of as a single unit, a singular verb is required. Examples: the team is going to win in the championship game. So we think of team as the collective noun and also the subject of this sentence. Although a team is composed of 7 or 5, I don't know how many players, but more than one, we use only a singular verb. Like the committee. More than one, yet it is considered a singular subject, therefore it has a singular verb. Rule number 3. When a collective noun is thought of as composed of many individuals, a plural verb is required. A little modification of rule number 2. Don't let yourself be confused. Examples: the jury have been deliberating on the verdict for hours, but they haven't agreed upon it yet. So we have this collective noun, jury. We used have as our plural verb. Example number 2. All the cabinet have been given a memorandum. So we have cabinet as our collective noun and have as our plural verb. Rule number 4. In cases where the subject is preceded by its verb, the verb should still agree with the subject. Again, in cases where the subject is preceded by its verb, the verb should still agree with the subject. Examples: on the top of the table are 3 apples. So what do you notice in this sentence? Yes, the verb comes first before the subject. Don't be confused, okay? The subject-verb agreement rules still apply. So we used are because apples is a plural subject. Example number 2. There is a pine tree beside the house. So is comes first before the tree. And tree is only considered a singular subject, therefore we use a singular verb. Rule number 5. The subject of an interrogative sentence must agree with the verb. The subject of an interrogative sentence must agree with the verb. So how can you tell if a sentence is interrogative? Easy, if it's asking a question. Examples: does the boy go to rehearsals every day? So it's an interrogative sentence and we have this verb, does. We use does because our subject is singular, particularly boy. Example number 2. Do the boys go to rehearsals every day? So our verb here is do. Why do? Because our subject is plural, particularly boys. Rule number 6. Singular indefinite pronouns require singular verb. What are singular indefinite pronouns? Everyone, someone, anybody, each, every. Here are some examples. Everyone is expected to submit his project on time. So our noun here is everyone. And again, it is a singular indefinite pronoun. Therefore, we use a singular verb, which is in this sentence is. Example number 2. Someone is knocking at the door. So our subject here is a pronoun someone. And we use a singular verb is. Clear? Don't be confused. Rule number 7. Plural indefinite pronouns need plural verbs. Again, plural indefinite pronouns need plural verbs. Rule number 8. The pronouns all, any, more, most, and some require singular verbs if the noun they are referring to is singular, and plural verbs if the noun is plural. Example: all the book was ruined. So we have the pronoun all referring to book. The book is the antecedent of the pronoun all. Therefore, we use a singular verb. Example number 2. All of the cubicles are occupied. So our subject here is cubicles. And then it is the antecedent of the pronoun all. And since it is plural, we use a plural verb. Rule number 9. Nouns that are plural in form but singular in meaning require singular verbs. Again, rule number 9. Nouns that are plural in form but singular in meaning require singular verbs. Examples: mathematics is my favorite subject. Although the word mathematics has an S in it, it is a singular subject. Therefore, we use a singular verb, is. Clear? Example number 2. Semantics is the study of meanings in language. So our subject here is semantics. Again, although it has an S, it is a singular subject. Therefore, we use a singular verb, particularly is. Rule number 10. Some nouns are always plural and should have plural verbs. Again, some nouns are always plural and should have plural verbs. Examples of these are scissors and pants. Can you think of anything else? Example: the tweezers are on top of my dresser. Again, the tweezers are on top of my dresser. So we used are because our subject, although singular in object, plural in meaning. Tweezers. Okay? Another example: grandfather's eyeglasses were lost. Again, grandfather's eyeglasses were lost. So our subject here is eyeglasses. Although singular in object, it is plural in meaning. Therefore, we use a plural verb, particularly wear. Rule number 11. A linking verb should agree with its subject, not with its predicate nominative or subjective complement. A linking verb should agree with its subject, not with its predicate nominative or subjective complement. Now I advise you to review what is a predicate nominative and a subjective complement. Example: one reason for drug addiction is broken families. Again, one reason for drug addiction is broken families. So reason here is our subject, and it is supported by a singular verb, which is. Again, only the subject and not the subjective complement or the predicate nominative. Broken families are one reason for drug addiction. Broken families are one reason for drug addiction. So families is plural, therefore it needs a plural verb, particularly are. Rule number 12. A title of a poem, article, essay, story, or novel is singular and requires a singular verb. Again, a title of a poem, article, essay, story, or novel is singular and requires a singular verb. Any title. Okay? Great. Example: Little Woman is a touching novel by Louisa May Alcott. So our subject here is the title of a novel, particularly Little Women. And as said earlier by the rule, we only use a singular verb, which is. Example number 2. Victor Hugo's Les Miserables is a dramatic and powerful social document about the French Revolution. Again, we have a title of a document. It is entitled Les Miserables, and it is a title, therefore we use a singular verb. Okay, I hope you had a fun time listening to my voice. That is all for our subject-verb agreement module. Thank you very much for listening.
Here is an example. Alan and Pat are working out the abs. In our example, Alan and Pat will be our subject. We can change the compound subject, Alan and Pat, to the pronoun they. Our sentence will be like this. They are working out the abs. So that is one practical use of pronouns. Antecedents. Nouns that pronouns replace. Again, these are nouns that pronouns replace. In our example earlier, Alan and Pat was replaced by they. Therefore, Alan and Pat is the antecedent. Here are personal pronouns. There are 3 types of personal pronouns. The first one is the first person. It refers to the person who is speaking or doing the action. In singular form, we have I and me. In plural form, we have we, us, and our. The second person is, however, different. It refers to the person spoken to by the speaker. Whether singular or plural, it is still you, the pronoun you. Third person refers to the person or thing being spoken about. In singular, we have he, him, it, she, her, or one, and many more. In plural, we have they and them. There are cases of personal pronouns. The nominative case. The pronoun is used as a subject, or predicate nominative, or subjective complement. Here is an example. I am beautiful. In this sentence, I is our subject. Second example, the winner is she. For the second example, she is our predicate nominative or subjective complement. The objective case. The pronoun is used as a direct object, indirect object, or object of the preposition. Again, as a direct object, indirect object, or object of the preposition. Here's an example. We met them in Baguio. You have to award him the medal. Are you finally going out with her? So let's take a look at the first example. We met them in Baguio. In this sentence, them will be our direct object. Met will be our verb. The pronoun them answered the question who or what asked by the transitive verb met. Again, the pronoun them answered the question who or what asked by the transitive verb met. Remember the who or the what. Met who, met what. Second sentence. You have to award him the medal. In our example, him will be our indirect object and award will be our verb. The pronoun him answered the question for whom or to whom asked by the transitive verb award. Again, the pronoun him answered the question for whom or to whom asked by the transitive verb award. For our third example, here is our sentence. Are you finally going out with her? In our sentence, can you guess the pronoun? Very good. Her will be our object of the preposition. And with, of course, will be our preposition. Usually a noun or a pronoun, the object of the preposition is always preceded by, of course, a preposition. Again, usually a noun or a pronoun, the object of the preposition is always preceded by a preposition. So here's our three examples. You met them in Baguio. You have to award him the medal. Are you finally going out with her? Take a little time and review them. The direct object, the indirect object, and the object of the preposition. The possessive case, however, is a little different. The pronoun is used to show ownership or possession. Again, it is used to show ownership and possession. Here is our example. That folder is mine. And for the second example, these paintings are theirs. So you see, we've highlighted the pronouns used in the sentence, mine and theirs. So let's take a review of the cases of the pronouns. We have the nominative, the objective, and the possessive. For singular, for first person, we have I, me, my, and mine. For the second person, for the nominative case, we have you. For the objective case, we have another you. And for the possessive case, we have your or yours. Third person. For the nominative, we have he, she, it. Objective, we have him, her, and another it. For the possessive, we have his, hers, and its. For the plural, for the first person, we have we for the nominative, us for the objective, our or ours for the possessive. Second person, plural, we have Again, you for nominative, another you for objective case, and yours for the possessive. Third person. For the nominative, we have they. Objective, we have them. And for the possessive, we have their or theirs. So focus for a while and take a little time reviewing the following uses of the pronouns. You might as well memorize them, so as you could quickly determine which cases are the pronouns are. Here are compound personal pronouns. For the reflexive pronouns, they indicate that the person who realizes the action of the verb is the same person who receives the action. Here's a quick tip. They always end in self or selves. He cut himself when he was shaving. As you see, the subject is also the receiver of the action. He will be our subject and himself will be our direct object. The cat scratched itself with its paws. So our reflexive pronoun here is itself, the cat being the subject. Intensive pronouns are a little different from the reflexive pronouns, although they are the same in spelling and form. Retentive pronouns are a kind of pronoun used to emphasize that the action is done by the antecedent. It is a kind of pronoun used to emphasize that the action is done by the antecedent. Mother herself baked the cake. So our intensive pronoun here is herself. For the second example, we have the lifeguard himself administered cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Can you guess the intensive pronoun here? Okay, it showed up itself. It's himself. Here's a quick tip again. An intensive pronoun merely adds emphasis to the actor in the sentence. A reflexive pronoun, however, is used when the object in a clause is the same as the subject. Again, they are same in spelling and form, but different in use. Don't be confused. Here is our chart for the person and the singular and plural form of reflexive and intensive pronouns. First person, we have myself, plural ourselves. Second person, we have yourself for singular and yourselves for plural. For the third person, singular, we have himself, herself, and itself, and themselves for the plural. Here's another type of pronouns, the relative pronouns. That. It refers to a person, animal, or thing. Again, the pronoun that refers to a person, animal, or thing. Here's an example. The door that led or leads, however, to the base is open. Again, the door that leads to the basement is open. Which this pronoun refers to animals or things. Again, this pronoun refers to animals or things. Here's an example. The antique jar, which I wanted to buy, was not for sale. The antique jar, which I wanted to buy, was not for sale. The pronoun who, it only and only refers to persons. Never use them for objects. Usually used when the noun it refers to is the doer of the action, or when the noun it refers to is the subject within the clause. Take note of the highlighted group of words, the doer of the action and subject within the clause. Here's our sentence. The girl who won was very happy. Again, the girl who won was very happy. The whom, again, it refers to persons. Now take note of the difference. Usually used when the noun it refers to is the receiver of the action, or when the pronoun is used as the object within the clause. Again, take note of the highlighted words. Here's an example. I am going out with the Belgian whom I met yesterday. I am going out with the Belgian whom I met yesterday. Whose refers to persons, animals, or things. It is used to denote possession. It is used to denote possession. The child, whose parents are outside, is crying. The child, whose parents are outside, is crying. Here are demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns. There are only 4 of them. The this, the that, the these, and the those. It is used to point specific persons or things. That is the road less traveled. Are these the clothes you've been bragging about? Interrogative pronouns. Again, there are 5 of them. The who, the whom, the whose, the which, and the what. They are simply used to ask questions. What is nanotechnology? Do you know what is nanotechnology? Who painted the starry, starry night? Indefinite pronouns. They are pronouns that do not refer to a particular person or group of persons. They are indefinite. You don't know the quantity of them. For the singular, we have another, either, neither, other, anybody, everybody, nobody, somebody, anyone. Everyone, no one, someone, anything, everything, nothing, something, each, much, and one. They are for the singular. The plural, indefinite pronouns. We have both, few, many, several, all, enough, most, plenty, any, more, none, or some. Okay, this is a special rule, the pronoun antecedent agreement. The pronoun should always agree with its antecedent in gender, number, and person. Again, they must always be intact with another in gender, in number, and person. Here's an example. Everyone submitted his report on time. Everyone here is our pronoun. Use the singular possessive pronouns his, her, and its, or the singular reflexive pronouns himself, herself, and itself if the antecedent is a singular indefinite pronoun. Again, use his, her, and its, himself, herself, or itself. Another example. Each of the school has its representative. Can you guess which of the group of the words is the pronoun? Okay, it's each and its. Use the plural pronouns their and themselves with plural indefinite pronouns. Use their and themselves with plural indefinite pronouns. Example. Most of the students attended their class at night. Most here will be our pronoun. There will be our antecedent. All of the suspects surrendered themselves. The number based on the meaning of the sentence determines an indefinite pronoun that may be either singular or plural. Most of the pizza has chili sauce in it. Most of the pizzas have chili sauce in them. Did you notice the difference? Pizza, it, pizzas, them. Yet we still use the same pronoun most, because it is an indefinite pronoun. Use a singular pronoun when two or more singular antecedents are joined by or nor. Neither Jenny nor Rose submitted her term paper. Although there are two subjects, Jenny, Rose, we only used her. Because, of course, of the rule. Use a plural pronoun when two or more plural antecedents are joined by or nor. Use a plural pronoun. Neither the teachers nor the other government employees got their amelioration pay. Notice in this example that we used teachers and employees. They both have S in them, which means they are many. Follow the number of the noun nearer the verb when one singular antecedent and one plural antecedent are joined by or nor. Again, follow the nearer verb, okay? The one nearer to the verb and not the one far from the verb. In our example, neither Elaine nor the other girls sent their photographic entries. We use the pronoun there because the girls is much nearer or near to the verb. So that's it for our pronouns. Thank you very much for listening.
Modals. A modal is a helping verb that expresses opinion, probability, suggestion, or wish. Here is a list of some commonly used modals: shall and will, would and should, may, might, and can. When do we use shall and will? Shall is used with the first person to express simple futurity. For example, I shall one day return. The modal shall is used in the sentence to show that the action will happen in the future. The modal shall can also be used with the second and third persons to show promise or determination. For example, the children shall continue their father's philanthropic deed. Shall is used in the sentence to express the determination of the children to continue their father's deed. The modal will is used with the second and third persons to express simple futurity. For example, you will go to boarding school next term. The modal will in the sentence is used to show that the action will happen in the future. Will is used with the first person to indicate an act of will or to show promise or determination. For example, we will get rich. Will in the sentence is used to show determination. Now, when do we use would and should? The modal should is used to express obligation. For example, as citizens, we should do our share in nation building. The modal should is used to show that a particular action is an obligation. Would is used to express habitual action. For example, the old man would often go to the woods. The modal would in the sentence is used to express habitual action of going to the woods. The modal would can also be used after a conditional clause. For example, if I were rich, I would build institutions for orphans and old people. The modal would is used after the conditional clause, if I were rich. The modal would can also be used to express determination. For example, she would do anything for love. The modal would is used in the sentence to show that the subject is determined to do anything for love. The modal would is used to express a wish or desire. For example, he would like to ask for your daughter's hand. Notice that would in the sentence is used to express a desire. When do we use the modals may, might, and can? The modal may is used in asking or granting permission. For example, may I go out now? Yes, you may. May in the first sentence is used to ask for permission. May in the second sentence is used to grant permission. The modal may can also be used to express a possibility or a desire. For example, it may rain tonight. The modal may is used in the sentence to express the possibility of an action to come. Might is used if the main verb denotes past action. For example, the professor said you might go if you want. The modal might is used in the sentence because the main verb said denotes past action. The modal can is used to suggest ability. For example, all members of the performing arts club can sing, dance, and act. The modal can is used in the sentence to show that the subject of the sentence is able to sing, dance, and act. Thank you for watching this video presentation about modals. Prepositions. In this video, we will talk about the uses of prepositions. A preposition is a word that shows the relationship between a noun or pronoun and some other word in the sentence. Notice how changing the preposition can affect the meaning of the sentence as a whole in the following examples. The children played off the playground. The children played in the playground. The children played around the playground. The prepositions of, in, and around show the relationship between the noun children and the verb played. Played off in the first sentence means that the children did not play in the playground. Played in the second sentence means that they did play in the playground. Played around in the third sentence means that the children are playing in the surrounding of the playground. List of prepositions. Here is a list of some commonly used prepositions. About, above, across, after, again, along, among, around, at, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond, above, by, despite, down, during, except, for, from, in, inside, into, like, near. Of, off, on, onto, out, outside, over, past, since, through, throughout, to, toward, under, underneath, until, up, upon, with, without. Here is a list of some commonly used compound prepositions. According to, as well as, because of, by means of, by way of, except for, in accordance with, in addition to, in place of, in relation to, in response to, in spite of, inside of, instead of, on account of. Object of the preposition. The object of the preposition is always a noun, a pronoun, or a noun equivalent. Here are some examples. With poise, Gwyneth Paltrow walked to the stage and accepted her Academy Award. Notice that the noun poise is the object of the preposition with. The palace welcomed the Prince of Monaco and scheduled a sightseeing tour for him. The pronoun him is the object of the preposition for. The director asked about proposing the summer program of LSC in the different schools. Proposing the summer program of LSC in the different schools is a group of words functioning as a noun, or is a noun equivalent. It is the object of the preposition about. Prepositions indicating time. Use on before days of the week, before months followed by the day, or before the time indicating the day, month, and year. For example, I will be going back to the province on Saturday. Wal's birthday is on May 3. My sister was born on July 10, 1982. Use in to indicate year before months not followed by day, or before the month and year without the day. Examples: the next presidential elections will be in 2004. Flowers bloom in May and in June. They migrated to Canada in December 1976. Use for to refer to a period of time stating the number of hours, days, or weeks. Examples: the visitors waited for 3 hours. The typhoon lasted for 2 days. Sheila and her friends went island hopping for 5 weeks. Use during to refer to a period of time. For example, Martha visited her relatives in Cebu during the semestral break. During the first 2 months, Kelly's mother would go with her to school. Use since to refer to a period of time from the past to the present. Note, since is also a conjunctive adverb. For example, he has been that way since birth. We haven't seen each other since last year. Prepositions indicating place or position. Use between when you speak of two persons, places, or things. For example, I stood between Apollo and Athena. Use among when you speak of 3 or more persons, places, or things. For example, please divide the cake equally among the guests. Use on in an address with only the name of the street. For example, she lives on Rizal Street. Use at when referring to places which indicate exact address. For example, she lives at 1234 Rizal Street. Use at when referring to places which indicate the general location. For example, we will meet them at the station. Use in when the given location is more specific. For example, I am now in the lobby of the hotel. Use in when something is already inside. For example, the money is in my wallet. Use into when there is movement involved in the placement of something. For example, the boy threw the crumpled piece of paper into the trash can.
This one is in passive voice. Regular occurring action or condition. For example, Alice opens at 7:30 each morning. Constant action or condition. For example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Introduction to a quotation. Example, the Bible teaches, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Past historical action or a piece of literature as if happening now to make description more vivid and realistic. For example, General Douglas MacArthur leaves the Philippines and says, I shall return. This sentence states historical past. King Arthur traces his knights and anoints Lancelot as the new member of the Round Table. This sentence is an example of literature. Future time when sentence contains adverb or phrase indicating the future. For example, the concert starts in 10 minutes. 10 minutes here expresses future time. Action or condition is in present perfect tense. For example, we have heard that the old man is dead. This is the sentence in the present perfect tense. We hear that the old man is dead. This now is an example of a simple present tense. In constructing the active form, we use the regular verb plus d or ed at the end. For example, walked. We can also use the past form of irregular verbs. For example, drunk. In constructing passive form, however, we use was or were followed by the past participle of verb. For example, was played. Simple past tense expresses action or condition that happened at a definite time in the past. For example, the president arrived at the NAIA yesterday. This one is in the active form. In 1986, scientists spotted Halley's Comet crossing the Earth's orbit. This one is in the active form as well. In 1986, Halley's Comet was spotted crossing the Earth's orbit. This one now is in the passive form. Action or condition that began and ended in the past. For example, they hiked and climbed the mountain trail all day. Polite speech. For example, could you wait for me for a minute? Or did you wish to speak to the manager? Simple future tense. Using this in active form has the words shall or will plus the simple present tense. For example, I shall see or they will go. We can also use an adverb or phrase of future time. However, in constructing passive form, we use shall be or will be plus the past participle of verb. For example, will be joined. Simple future tense expresses an action or condition that will take place sometime after this moment. For example, Bart will join the campers in summer. This sentence is in the active voice. The campers will be joined by Bart in summer. This sentence is in the passive form. From now on, Ronald may think twice before smoking. This sentence has a phrase of future time, which is from now on. Present perfect tense. In active form, we add has or have plus the past participle of the verb. For example, has gone. Doing this in passive form, we add has been or have been plus the past participle of the verb. For example, has been made. Present perfect tense expresses an action or condition completed at an indefinite time in the past. For example, the invention of the computer has made the world a smaller place. This sentence is in the active voice. The world has been made a smaller place by the invention of the computer. This one is in the passive voice. Action or condition that started in the past and continues to the present time. For example, I have been in Austria for 7 years, meaning I came to Austria 7 years ago and I am still here. Action or condition in a sentence containing the since clause or phrase. For example, the Philippine Airlines has served the Filipino people since the 1940s. Past perfect tense. In active form, we use had plus the past participle of the verb. For example, she had danced. Doing this in passive form, we use had been plus the past participle of the verb. For example, they had been danced. Past perfect tense expresses a past action that took place before another past action. For example, the traders had supported the revolution until they learned of its successes. This sentence is in the active form. The revolution had been supported by the traders until they learned of its excesses. This sentence is in the passive form. For sentences expressing two past actions, use past perfect for the action that happened first and the simple past for the other action. For example, in 1968, some people said they had seen the Marcoses hurriedly fleeing the palace. Expresses sentences with two past actions expressed with if clause. Use past perfect when an action in if clause occurred before the other. For example, the Philippines might be very different today if Japan had won World War II. Expresses used in reported or indirect speech. For example, for direct speech, I have been there. For indirect speech, she said that she had been there. Future perfect tense. In active form, we use shall have or will have plus the past participle of the verb. For example, shall have seen. Doing this in passive form, we add shall have been or will have been plus the past participle of the verb. For example, shall have been seen. Future perfect tense expresses a future action that will take place before another future action. For example, Bill Clinton will have led the USA for 8 years when his second term ends in the year 2000. This is a sentence in the active form. The USA will have been led for 8 years by Bill Clinton when his second term ends in the year 2000. This now is in the passive form. Present progressive tense. This active formation utilizes am, is, and are plus the present participle or the ing form of the verb. For example, is raining. Doing this in passive form, we use is being or are being plus the past participle of the verb. For example, are being planted. Present progressive tense expresses an ongoing action that is taking place right now. For example, the residents are planting mahogany seedlings along the streets of their subdivision. This sentence is in the active form. Mahogany seedlings are being planted by residents along the streets of their subdivision. This one now is in the passive form. Future time when sentence contains adverb or phrase indicating the future. For example, the flight from China is arriving in an hour. Arriving in an hour is a phrase of future time. Past progressive tense. In active form, we use was or were plus the present participle or ing form of the verb. For example, was learning. Doing this in passive form, we use was being or were being plus the past participle of the verb. For example, was being done. Past progressive tense. This expresses an ongoing action at a certain time in the past. For example, in the late 1800s, pirates were plaguing traders in the Mediterranean. This is in the active form. In the late 1800s, traders were being plagued by pirates in the Mediterranean. This one now is in the passive form. Another example. Samson was sleeping when Delilah cut his hair. Was sleeping is in its past progressive form, while cut is in the simple past tense. Future progressive tense. In active form, we use will be or shall be plus the present participle. For example, will be watching. Future progressive tense expresses an ongoing action that will take place in the future. For example, people will be speculating on what will happen by the turn of the millennium. Present perfect progressive tense. In active form, we use has been or have been plus the present participle of the verb. For example, has been singing. This expresses an ongoing action begun in the past and is continuing in the present. For example, the veracity of the reported occurrences in the Bermuda Triangle has been puzzling scientists for years. Past perfect progressive tense. In active form, we use had been plus the present participle of the verb. For example, had been singing. This expresses an ongoing action that is interrupted by another past action. For example, the survivors of the plane crash had been fighting for their lives when they spotted the rescue team down the slopes of the mountain. Had been fighting is in its past perfect progressive tense, while spotted is in its simple past tense. Future perfect progressive tense. In active form, we use will have been or shall have been plus the present participle of the verb. For example, will have been studying. This expresses an ongoing future action that will have taken place by a designated future time. For example, by the time your great-grandchildren are adults, people will have been inhabiting other planets for many years. Are is in its simple present tense, while will have been inhabiting is in its future perfect progressive tense. Thank you for watching this video about the tenses of verbs. I hope this helps.